Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it. For nearly a decade, I lived in silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the smothering sort. The kind where your thoughts become whispers even in your own mind, because if they're too loud, someone might crush them. I moved like a shadow through life. Early mornings, double shifts, brown bag lunches, no vacations, no nights out. Every dollar I earned, I kept like a secret. I had a number, $270,000. It was money for my future freedom, money for my future home. I lived with my parents until I was 31. People laughed when I told them, "Saving money, huh?" They'd grin. I'd smile back, not bothering to explain. Because no one understood what it meant to live in a house where love was measured by usefulness. Alyssa, my younger sister by 5 years, never had to ask for anything. If she wanted something, art school tuition, a loan for some wellness venture, a luxury skincare kit my mother called an investment, she got it. My parents worshipped her chaos. Meanwhile, my quiet consistency earned me little more than, "Why are you always so stingy, Chester?" I remember a dinner 1 year ago. My father had just finished his third glass of red wine. "You know," he said, wagging his fork at me, "you ought to help Alyssa with her latest idea. She's onto something this time." "What is it?" I asked. "Last month, it was handmade candles." My mother sighed. "You always question things. Can't you just trust your sister? Be supportive for once." Supportive? I raised an eyebrow. I'd helped pay off her credit card debt 3 times. Alyssa pouted. "Wow, okay. Why don't you list every favor like a receipt next time?" That's how it always went. I played the role of the stingy brother, the one with no ambition, no joy, no heart. The one who worked 2 jobs, but didn't get a birthday cake. Behind my locked bedroom door, I tracked every cent. I skipped coffees, canceled subscriptions, repaired worn shoes with glue. I watched the numbers climb on my savings app like a lifeline being woven, thread by golden thread. Almost there. I'd whisper to myself each night, just a little longer. But I didn't see the shadows gathering around me. I didn't hear the doors creaking open when I left for work, or notice the invisible hands reaching for what I thought was safe. I had no idea that the very people I called family had already begun picking the lock to everything I built. It started with a glitch, a flicker, a stutter, a hesitation on my laptop screen so brief, I almost missed it. One quiet night after work, I was reviewing my savings spreadsheet, the same one I updated religiously each week, when the screen froze mid-scroll. Then, it blinked. The cursor danced across cells I hadn't touched. I leaned in. That's odd. I restarted the computer. Normal again, or so I thought. The next evening, my browser autofilled my bank login before I typed a letter. And when I checked my email, a folder I hadn't created, named Family Budget, sat neatly in my drafts, containing screenshots of my bank account, dated 3 weeks ago. My stomach dropped. I shut the lid, slowly, deliberately. I sat in the dark for almost an hour, listening to the faint ticking of my old clock. Then I whispered, "Who's been on my computer?" The next day, I installed a spyware scanner, hands trembling. What it found wasn't just disturbing, it was personal. A remote access program had been quietly running in the background for months, installed manually, with system permissions. No virus, no hacker, no random breach. Someone had walked into my room and planted it. I didn't sleep that night. In the morning, I confronted my mother in the kitchen. She was making Alyssa's favorite, blueberry pancakes. "Did you ever use my computer?" I asked, watching her face. She didn't flinch. "Of course not. Why would I touch your things?" My father looked up from the newspaper. Still being paranoid, son. I pressed on. "Then how did spyware get on it?" "Remote access, installed months ago." He folded the paper. His tone dropped. "If you're hiding something, just say it. No need for this tech nonsense." I stepped closer. "Someone's been watching my banking activity. Someone in this house." He stood. "Your tone needs fixing, Chester. Don't forget who puts a roof over your head." I stared at him. "I do." And then I walked out, pretending I still had control over what was mine, when deep down, I knew I'd just opened the first page of a very ugly book. The number stared at me like a silent scream, $0. I refreshed the banking page again, and again, my heart thundered with each click. The total didn't change. My life savings, 9 years of sacrifice, were gone. I stumbled back from the desk, legs weak. Cold sweat broke across my forehead. My hand shook so violently I nearly dropped the mouse. I had memorized every transaction for years. I knew every deposit, every earned cent. I called the bank. The representative confirmed it. Multiple transfers, all logged under my account, to an LLC tied to a family enterprise. Family. Rage and disbelief twisted inside me. I burst into the living room where my father was watching TV. "Where is it?" I demanded. He didn't even mute the volume. "Where's what?" "My money," I shouted. $270,000. You took it. He finally turned. No guilt, no fear, just a smirk. "It's for Alyssa's cosmetics business. You'll thank us when she's successful." I froze. "Use my account. That's theft." "It's family money," he said coolly. "Stop being dramatic." My mother, standing in the hallway, added softly, "You'll earn more. She just needed that money for her cosmetics business." "You stole from me," I whispered. "You watched my life through spyware. You planned this." Neither of them denied it. I left that night. I packed only what I could fit in a duffel bag and drove to Teddy's apartment on the east side. I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I just handed him the bag and said, "I need to crash here for a while." He looked at me, confused. "What happened?" I stared at the wall. "They drained me. All of it. My parents, Alyssa. They robbed me." Teddy blinked. "Holy hell, Chester." I nodded. "And I'm not just leaving them. I'm taking them down." I stayed up until 3 a.m. wiping my hard drive, backing up logs, and digging into the digital trail they left behind. If they thought I'd just walk away, they didn't know the man they raised. After gathering all the necessary documents and evidence, I filed a lawsuit against my parents and my sister. The courtroom smelled like old paper and stale air. I sat at the plaintiff's table, palms pressed flat, jaw clenched. Across from me, my parents and Alyssa whispered among themselves, smug and composed, as if they were at a brunch instead of a trial for theft and fraud. The judge answered. "Court is now in session. Case 27B, Chester Lane versus Raymond, Evelyn, and Alyssa Lane." My lawyer, Ms. Herrera, rose. "Your Honor, the evidence will show that my client's computer was remotely accessed via illegal spyware installed without consent. The defendants used this access to drain $270,000, his entire life savings." Alyssa scoffed audibly. The judge narrowed his eyes. "Miss Lane, you'll contain yourself. We submitted screenshots, IP logs, and the forensic report from the tech investigator I'd hired." Herrera handed it to the clerk. "The trail leads straight to Alyssa's business account, opened days before the transfers began." My father leaned into his mic. "It's family money. We raised him. We have the right." The courtroom gasped. I stared at him, hollow. "You raised me to be silent, not stupid." Alyssa stood suddenly. "I didn't steal. I'm building something that benefits all of us." The judge banged the gavel. "Sit down. This isn't a debate." After hours of testimony, the verdict came swift and sharp. I find in favor of the plaintiff. The defendants will repay $270,000 with interest and an additional $75,000 in punitive damages. Miss Lane's business assets are frozen pending full restitution. My parents were stone-faced. Alyssa looked like her world had imploded. I didn't smile. I just breathed. For the first time in years, it felt like oxygen. The verdict had been handed down. The dust, however, refused to settle. 2 weeks later, I received an envelope without a return address. Inside, a single handwritten note from my father. "You should have kept your mouth shut. We could have handled this like family." I stared at the words inked with venom. There was no apology, only resentment for breaking the family code of silence, the very silence that allowed betrayal to flourish. Teddy glanced over my shoulder. "Still trying to guilt you, huh?" "They don't regret stealing," I muttered. "They regret being caught." The cosmetic business had collapsed under frozen assets. Alyssa's social media was a wasteland of half-hearted apologies and desperate sales. My parents, stripped of their illusion of control. I'd offered no press interviews, no revenge-fueled gloating, just silence. But it came at a price. My family was gone. And oddly, I was okay with that. Weeks passed. One night, I stood alone in front of the model home I'd once dreamed of buying. I didn't need it anymore. Teddy called me from the car, waving. "You ready?" I nodded, pocketing the old letter. I had one final message to send. I mailed it back, crossed out my father's words, and wrote just one line beneath. "Silence protects thieves. I choose freedom." Then I walked away, into a life finally, undeniably mine. Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.